Hello one and all, hello one and all. Welcome to Guru Grit. I wanted to come and make a video in anticipation of the beautiful new moon that we're having tomorrow, April the 1st, in the sign of Aries. So I'm going to go through all the signs, what that could mean for you, and I'm going to do it a little bit differently. I'm going to do it my way. So this is going to be quick. We're just going to do the moon. I'm not going to go through all of the planets, but I will include an element of something else that I hope that you find useful. So let's get into it. What is Aries? What is the moon and what does it mean for our world? What does it mean for you as a person? So Aries is from the Latin word lamb, and it's known as the eternal Lamb of God. Very, very poetic. And as someone who enjoys theology, I love I just like looking into these things. It makes me very happy. So let me get my little pen out here so I can be a little more scholastic. Here we go. Eternal Lamb of God. It grants eternal power to the person. It's the promise of God's great favor. So this is a really powerful time. And the thing to note about April, as I've been saying for a while, the second half of 2022 is going to be more favorable than the first half of the year. And April is a bit of like a turning point. So in order to bring in new things, we have to embrace change. So April will be full of change. So if you're able to adapt to change, you'll fare a lot better. So based on the general transits for everyone, I think people are ready for a new world and they're awakening, they're coming out of their slumber, they're regaining control over themselves. Okay, so this is going to be quite a nice time. All right, and here a quote from the Bible, John 1:29, "Look, the Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world." Now, sin means ignorance. So this is a time to dispel the spell we've all been existing under, and I put not living. We haven't been living, we've simply been surviving or existing. So it's really here to shake us up and bring in the world that we're wanting. What is Aries? Aries is ruled by Mars. So Aries is the soldier and the warrior. Aries, an enlightened manifestation of this energy, is the sign that can fight for the vulnerable. Okay, they head into battle courageously to set the rest of us free. So we should all see where we can embody this energy now during this new moon. And Sun in Aries, the Sun is an exaltation point in Aries. Sun is the soul. Sun is governance. Sun is a royalty, people, and power. Okay, so there will be some aspects to show sovereignty. I believe, external power structures, corporations, things of that nature, people who call themselves world leaders but don't do much in terms of leading of the world, will have their fall from grace, will be shifting around. I talked a lot about this in the nuclear weapon video, how we're going to usher out old forms of power and hopefully bring in new ones, not just disguise them as something else. But if you do this inside yourself, you're safe, okay? So what is the moon? And then let's take another meaning. Sorry, as far as Aries goes, I just want to mention, Aries is the sign of, it's aggressive, but it's entrepreneurial. It's a sign of independence. So it's an authority unto itself. So we're really coming into a time where people are ready to lift restriction and limitation from themselves. They're done being told what to do. An Aries or an Aries moon, good examples would be like Rihanna's an Aries moon, Lady Gaga's an Aries sun. They don't like being dictated to. They dictate to their lives how they want their lives to work out. So as a whole, it's just time that we sort of just do away with silly little rules like we're in kindergarten or something, and live life how we want to in this world. So collective independence I've written here. Liberation, breaking of old structures, and introduction of new mass systems of self-reliance. Okay, so I've seen things come up a lot like community plots for gardening, growing one's own food, trade and bartering is making a big comeback. I've had people email me and say, like, I can't afford to pay for a reading, but I make really good jewelry or something like that. So things of that nature. So it's a time to break because, Aries is like war. So it's going to destroy, level, raze to the ground, and then rebuild. So as a cooperative human family, so it's a really nice time for humanity to consider how we want to be living in the future. So this is the beginning. I didn't want to say this is the beginning of the end. It's a bit grim, but I will be talking about the beginning of the end in my prophecies series, which I'll be doing shortly. And so I mentioned what it means for the world. And what is the moon? The moon rules people. The moon rules society and the subconscious. So it's time to break free of the hypnotic spells that have been cast upon us. Okay, and the moon is to circulate things. So it moves people through the world. We've seen an exodus of people. We've seen refugees, immigration, mass migration. We've seen economy shifting, trying to decentralize, and then banks getting a hold of that. Well, they're going to collapse, you know, like people are going to circulate and trust one another more through this sort of edgy, battle-minded sign in this wonderful new moon, rather than handing over their power, okay? So Aries is up first. There's my little moon. It's so beautiful. Love you. Okay, so Aries. Okay, so how I've done this is I've done the moon. So here's the new moon. And then I'm going to focus and concentrate on the North Node. Instead of doing the sort of traditional sun and moon and then all the other planets, or just the moon, I've add a little spice to that, but I'm not going to obviously like rope in every single detail. I'm just going to tell you the overview, but this is what I'm considering when I do it. And something to consider as well, as we were talking of the shaking up of everything and how change is about to just rain down upon us. This is tropical. But in the sidereal system, if you're interested in sidereal astrology, it's a little bit more exciting. Actually, I have to give it to them. It's very exciting for the month of April. So I use original rulers, as you know. All of them are changing signs, including the nodes. So it's 7 celestial bodies plus the nodes. So 9 things are going into different signs. So, I mean, the moon is always changing, but that's very exciting. So you can see how April's just no joke at all. All right, let's begin with Aries. So if you're Aries rising, Aries moon, listen up. Independence. Independence in what? So the first house is, you know, the self-image. So independence in financial and emotional matters seems to come up. Why? Because the North Node is in the second of your wallet and money. So look towards solutions. And another thing I want to add is, and I said solutions because the first house actually, fun fact, measures the individual's ability to overcome issues and problems, obstacles in their life. It's an aggressive house, like the 3rd or the 6th in terms of like athleticism and fighting ability. So in this sense, you know, if you've had a problem, a horrible neighbor, you couldn't close on a house, it's been an escrow for ages, a child who wouldn't listen, you know, you could now have some authority. You can actually say, you know what, I'm not putting up with this anymore, and this is going to work out in my favor one way or another. Now, eating habits, because the 2nd is our mouth and house of sustenance, and the North Node, as I've discussed in my yearly video around, you know, New Year's Eve, generally for everyone, you know, they have to watch what they eat because the North Node rules toxins and poisons, and Taurus is the sign of nature. It's the sign of food and finance, farming, actually rules farming, agriculture. So be mindful of what you eat, Aries, okay? Eat healthy this month. Okay, romance, because it's going to aspect the 7th. General self-improvement, because it's in the 1st, appearance, and I said health again, just to be safe. So these are the things you can really, really work on the month of April to maximize the effects, the benefic effects, okay? Taurus, it's so funny to me. 12th house. So I would say to channel your efforts, I put channel efforts cautiously to prevent loss of effort and energy. Why? Because the moon naturally rules through Cancer, okay, the 3rd house of effort, courage, bravery, skills, working with the hands. And it's going, the energy, okay, of the moon is in the 12th. So you don't want to work tirelessly and get absolutely nowhere. So preserve energy, I would say. Get some sleep. Now, in terms of sleep, the 12th house actually does rule sleep. It rules inspiration, imagination. Therefore, if you're any problem, you don't have to be creative. I don't care if you're an accountant, an actuary, whatever, you know, a sciencer with your beakers, and you need to figure out something. Literally ask for the solution in your sleep. I discussed this through Joseph Murphy's teaching, The Power of the Subconscious Mind. So I'm going to have a 2nd series coming up on that. I have a follow-up book by him. Now's the time to receive answers. Okay, so it's quite lovely. It can be quite inspirational. I said, cast a wish into the universe. This is very, very sweet. It's really dreamy. It's really, really sweet. So do that. Again, I've put eat carefully because the North Node is in the 1st house here. Like I mentioned this for Aries. So if you're like an Aries ascendant, Taurus moon, you know, Taurus sun, Aries moon, Aries rising, that combination, diet must be watched. not to eat too much processed food, junk drinks and things like that, because the first is the body. So we've got that going through the place of the body. And of course, through the South Node, it's going to help us release relationships that no longer serve you. But otherwise, if you want to have some kind of wish fulfillment, you can get word from somebody abroad or a foreign contact, a friend, take a trip, relocate maybe, and take a long distance trip, something like that. But very interesting for Taurus. Now, Gemini, I'm trying to talk as fast as possible because I always say just a quick video and then it lasts like 40 minutes. So I'm like, how do I always do that? Okay, the 11th, this is very interesting because I'll say take a trip with friends. You could go somewhere, but friends are going to be quite instrumental to you. And actually, I have to say, for everyone, I think the second half, the closer you get to the end of the month, is going to be much better for people. But friends, acquaintances can assist in landing a new role or job or getting a promotion, because the 11th is the second from the 10th. So this is where you see the earnings of the 10th house. So you can get a recommendation, you can get somebody to vouch for you, promotion, winning awards, recognition from peers. All of these are 11th house matters. So others can facilitate in your dreams coming true. Others can facilitate in you working in the international branch of a company, getting a job in a hospital, overcoming an illness. Somebody can help you in such a way. It's very interesting. So you can always depend on the kindness of strangers, as they say. In any case, the 11th is quite humanitarian. You might find yourself involved in helping people now as well, if you wish to. And then receiving gifts. Okay, I've seen people with transits to the 11th get gifts, and it's always happens. So just keep your awareness open. Maybe it's a neighbor, maybe it's a friend, a coworker, who knows, but somebody could just sort of delight you in some way, which is very, very nice. Cancer in the 10th. Okay, very interesting because, I said the 11th is the gains of the 10th. So I think, Cancers can definitely rack up some money in the month of April if they're wanting to. So the 10th is status. So you can increase your status, your popularity. If you work online, you can go to a new job, get a promotion. So rise in popularity. I said business ventures, also good for Cancer. There is something happening here. So, new career track, you can change jobs. Friends and colleagues can surely help you at this time. And I want to say, in terms of status of the 10th, when I say status, I mean all status. So if you're single, you can enter into a relationship, but it's not very soft, so it can kind of be like, we're together now, you understand? Yeah, like that, or like an engagement or something kind of like official, like signing a lease, adopting a dog. Okay, so if it's not professional change, you can change your status. Now, of course, it aspects the 4th, so you can move yourself. You can move to a new place, you can move to a new city, a new apartment, okay, solidify something in that sense through real estate as well. So in any sense, it should be something that fulfills you, that you've had to work hard for and fight for, because Aries is quite intense. So best of luck to you. Now Leo, okay, well, I should move myself. There's Leo in the 9th house. And so in the 9th, wonderful. And aspect North Node through the 10th. So travel for work is looking really good for Leos. And the 9th being the house of beliefs, making a wish about, something purposeful, maybe purposeful work. You're really tired of doing the same old thing and you're like, I work hard, I don't mind working hard, but what am I working for? Okay, so enlighten me, heavens, like tell me what I'm actually working so hard for. So you might want just something more out of life, really. So in this sense, as the spiritual practices and discipline are quite favorable. So I really mean that, ask to be guided, to be directed into a sort of lifestyle that will fulfill you, Okay, and Leo is a generous sign. So there's no shortage of things that a Leo would do for the world or for a friend or something like that, for a cause. So really put yourself out there and ask big, okay? And I said, trips and travel are excellent and can be inspired by work or study. So, it can be for university. It can be, maybe you're consulting, maybe you get sent around for your job. Now's a good time to accept those things. But general studying, certification, and training is looking very favorable. I also will say, if you are a writer and you've been struggling to find an editor or publish your work, self-publish, something like that, this month is really, really good to get that word out there, to get yourself out there, okay? I think you're just, especially if you're trying to do it on your own, or if you've really labored and endeavored to get it done, then this month should reward you. I'm really, really praying for that. So I said approved residence permits, visas, and relocation is also possible for Leo. So the South Node here is saying, ciao, you know, you could be leaving home. And the ninth has to do with like legality, so the documentation process, customs forms, passports, okay? So you could, if you travel, if you take a trip in April, and I will say again, closer to the end of the month, could be like literally the 30th, it could start to crystallize. So this month is excellent for Leo ascendants, all right? For all things being mobile and seeing the fruition of one's efforts, even if you're studying, because you know, the opposing house, the third is the house of skill. So you might have learned a skill 6 months ago, and now you're starting to see some of the rewards of that. Maybe you've been writing, you've been studying. It's like, hey, April's like exam time, you know, so excellent for you. Excellent. Okay, Virgo, I wrote money month April because the new moon is in the 8th house of other people's resources, unearned income, windfalls of money, tax returns, inheritances, and such. So we also have the North Node in the 9th. So you could get like a tax return on, let's say, some tuition. Maybe an accountant forgot about that. Maybe you even circulate some money into the world. Again, later in the month is a good time for Virgo risings to take a trip, but really change the mindset on what a partner can do for you and expect more from others. Why? Because it's the house of other people's resources. So you've probably been playing yourself too small and just you know, and Virgo is the sign of kindness, so probably not asking for what you're worth, probably not asking for what you want in terms of like jobs, your pay grade, okay, or maybe you're feeling guilty, you know, to ask your partner to like buy you a coffee or something. Just saying, you know what, this is exhausting and I'm tired. Just ask for more, like put yourself out there. So the 8th also, you know, can do with some kind of unexpected source of income, maybe something like a class action lawsuit you didn't even know you were part of. That check can come through. So just expect more. But it's a good time to review your finances. And I'm not giving anybody financial advice. Of course, this is for entertainment purposes only. But you know, for Virgo this month, I would get your affairs in order in terms of investing. Okay, if you're looking to invest, really do your research this month and maybe start to get a move on. You can see, you know, more of it can come into fruition more so a year from now when Jupiter is in Aries more consistently. But do you know what? He's headed there, so it's a good time to consider investing your cash and having it sort of move around the world. But go out and date and have fun. It's a good time to, you know, the 8th house is the house of bonding. So you might meet people that you feel really connected to very deeply, even if there's something kind of elusive about it. I wouldn't say to take anybody seriously. That's why I said date and have fun, because you don't really know what they're like in the 8th house. The moon doesn't do so well in the 8th house, so just be mindful. Like have a coffee, let them buy you flowers, you know, go for lunch, have a picnic, feed some ducks, but don't promise them your heart and soul. Okay, now later in the month, again, I said is good, especially for a trip. Okay, so that's very, very nice for Virgo risings. And then we come to Libra, very, very big because, ooh, you know, the new moon is in the 7th of relationships. And I forgot to write a description. Libra, why? It's okay. Is in the house of relationships, partner. Okay, so very, very nice. Now, we'll say a couple things. The 7th is the house of business. So if you're interested in business partnerships, if you're going into business with another person, if you want to profit from a side hustle, profit from a hobby, this can bring in somebody really, really wonderful. Okay, this is very nice to prosper and things like that. You might also receive investments from people because the North Node in the 8th can help you with that. One thing I will say though is not to invest anything mindlessly, because the South Node here in the 2nd can part you from your money. So, you know, I mean, this is like an 18-month transit, but with the moon going through the 7th in terms of business and things like that, it's the house of trade. just be mindful that if you take money from like a loan or some such thing, that you can actually pay it back. You know, it might be too good to be true or something like that. So just guard yourself in that sense. And if you meet someone who promises you the world, that's fine, but don't invest too much of yourself, okay? Because when the South Node is in the second, the person's very financially adept, or they learn to be financially adept. So I don't know about you, but most people who are good with money that are not born into it usually become good with money because they didn't have it. So it could be a difficult time to save money. So this shows me you might invest it in something like a business or something to do with yourself, which, okay, then it will pay off in the future. But don't be too, just don't be brash, you know, like don't be too quick to rush into anything. Okay, now in the seventh, new moon in the seventh is very, very nice for relationships. Of course, it's beautiful, it's soft, you know, it's just lovely, isn't it? I quite like that. So I would say to make a wish, like cast something out into the universe. And the new moon is on the first of the month, which is quite lovely. And guess what? It's on a Friday. And Friday is ruled by Venus, which is your ruler. So if you're a Libra, you know, sun as well, or a Libra moon, a Libra Venus, a Libra rising, then it's just so sweet. It's like singing a beautiful song. It's making beautiful music with your chart. I mean, if you have a Libra Mercury, you know, it could be a really nice time for friends and things like that, siblings. But it's just sweet. You make sweet music with these people. It's very harmonic. You know, Venus likes the arts, so it's quite harmonious. It's quite harmonic. So, I mean, if it's aspecting all of that stuff, that moon is aspecting all those Libra placements that you have, then of course it can be super smoochy and like romantic, or just like tender-hearted and soft. And Libra is a sign of sharing, so you might feel, you know, compelled to maybe buy your sibling a pair of shoes or get your neighbors some sweets, something that's really, really nice. It's the sign of relationships, has a lot to do with harmony, has a lot to do with intimacy. So it's a very nice thing for Libra risings, Libra moons in particular, going through the seventh, and the seventh from the moon. So really nice. It's very, very high probability. If you're single, you can meet someone. If you're single, you can discover what you actually want from a person. Okay, you can observe, you can reflect. You might see a movie that inspires you, or like a couple on the subway that inspires you, and then you're like, oh, I'm putting that in my mental memo notepad. So very, very excellent. Okay, Scorpio, we have don't fight anyone, because the sixth house is the house of being accused, the house of fighting, you know, fighting back, things like that. So that's the first thing I've put. But, you know, and also if this is the rising here, okay? Aries is 6 and 8 from Scorpio. So this is interesting to me, Scorpio ascendants. The signs, you know, these two signs are ruled by Mars. So Mars is the fighter, and the aspect is quite, it's rigid. It's not flexible. It's not diplomatic. So I would say if you have any kind of unearthed things that have been bugging you for some time, you know, now's the time to put them to rest without being agitated. And so I've put cultivate healthy habits, because the sixth is the house of work, service, healthcare, okay? Temper arguments with your spouse and business partners, because the North Node going through the seventh, that's the house of business partnerships. That's the house of your spouse. So just take it easy, okay? And then of course the South Node is going to be in the first. So therefore, you know, again, to be mindful of health, again, just because Moon is also in the sixth, take rest, okay? South Node transiting the ascendant, which is your body, can make a person tired, all right? It can like detach you from yourself, almost like puts you to sleep, you know. Scorpio moon, so and Scorpio rising, important to do some like work where you connect with you and don't depend on others to make you happy during this time. But also with the new moon in the sixth, it's the house of service. I would say don't overgive. You know, I know you have to work. If you have a job, you have to do what's required of you, but I wouldn't kill myself to make someone else's life easier. You can still be generous. You can still be thoughtful and mindful. But there are limits. Let's say, you know, a friend wants to go out 5 nights a week, but they blew you off the last few times. Well, you go out once or twice. You don't oblige their every whim. So I would say really to be mindful for Scorpio ascendants, and to maybe do some journaling, take a nice bath, nap more. sleep more, talk to yourself more, and cultivate self-love. Very important for Scorpio risings during this transit to get that lovey-dovey feeling going. You know, the new moon is on a Friday, which is ruled by Venus. It's the planet of love. It's the planet of sharing, indulgence. It's very soft, and the moon is really soft. So just, yeah, being really nice to yourself. So another thing, speaking of work, is it's really great for launching new work projects. Businesses, hobbies, side hustles, so all these things can come into fruition, okay? So, and doing something nice for the world even. 6 and 12 are the axis of like almsgiving and charity and causes. So you might, you know, want to do something where you help other people, maybe even just pray for them, but very, very nice for Scorpio. Coming to Sagittarius, we've got the new moon in the 5th house of one of the luckier ascendants, you know, a Sagittarius moons and rising. So relationship, indulgence, parties, socialization, romance, enjoyment, hobbies, positivity, children. You know, your children can see something favorable, get a nice report card, ace an exam, come home screaming with good news. Mom, I passed my driving test. Oh my God, Dad, I made the whatever team, or look, I got this promotion. So, so to try, I put triumph over evil. Sometimes the wording of, I don't even know what goes through my mind, but you know, the transit of the North Node through the 6th is very, very nice, because what it will do is it will help you beat out your enemies. So if the new moon is in the 5th, if you've had some issue with not spending enough time with your children, you can come into more time. You can be more time rich. If there's a custody battle or something to that effect, you know, it could come into your favor during this time. Okay, so that's one way to interpret it. But I said romance is high. On a more positive note, you know, partying, socializing, fun, indulgence is just really, really beautiful, because the North Node does so well in the 6th house, and the South Node is the best actually in the 12th. So Sagittarius are sort of well, not sort of, they're definitely winning out. You know, they're doing very great between, you know, January of 2022 and spring of 2023. So, I mean, you put this beautiful new moon in the 5th house. It's just so lovely. So hopefully this is the month that will give them a little bit of reprieve and like enjoyment. And they're quite fiery and free-spirited anyway and adventurous, that I think they won't mind some of the changes that are afoot. They'll embrace them, be like, oh yeah, like whatever, it's great. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's go. So, you know, I think Sagittarius is going to have a very lovely month and enjoy the second half of the year. And then, of course, the first half of next year with greater adaptability than some of the other signs. Also, they're immutable signs. So, of course, wonderful. I thought I misspelled it for a second. I almost freaked out. Why'd I do this to myself? You know, they will just have a wonderful year. So that was Sagittarius. Capricorn, classy caps. Here we go. New moon in the 4th, North Node in the 5th. So, you know, if you're a parent, if you have children, there could be something to do with like news about children and general fulfillment. So anytime there's a transit to the 4th, I always say, call your mother, like call your mother, because the 4th house is the mother. So I've certainly put here, call your mother, most surely. Capricorns should dream and wish big. Okay, so hobbies, enjoyment, taking care of the home, buying a new lamp or something for your house, or a plant, that could be very lovely to you, because it's a new moon in the 4th house can be really fulfilling. You know, the 4th house is very deep. Actually, it shows the person's capacity for kindness, for truthfulness, trustworthiness, ability to give decent advice, you know, so people might turn to you at this time, and with the moon there, it's quite soft, so you might, you know, give them some pretty direct advice, because it's an Aries, so you'll say, I think this is the best thing for you, and I'm going to lay it out, boo, 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 boo. Now, go forth and don't make the same mistake again. But, you know, you could have fun with friends, and saving money. So savings, things that we, you know, withhold, that's kind of deep. The 4th house is quite like it reminds you of the 4 of Swords in the tarot, you know, like contemplative. It's contemplative. It's meditative as well. So it can deepen your relationships, deeper sentiment towards others, inviting new relationships and people that make you feel more content or fulfilled. Okay, so it could be lovelier neighbors, nicer coworkers, softer interactions with others. Certainly to be softer with yourself. That's very important. Aquarius. Now this one was really interesting. So, you know, moon in the 3rd is a very aggressive placement. And I thought, I wonder how that's going to manifest, because it's the moon? You know, what's going on? But the moon, you know, is not too friendly to Aquarius ascendants. So what's the haps? Well, you know, let's go through the first part. The third house has to do with expression and communication. So I've put network, meet people, shoot some messages off to them on LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever, okay? Read, write, learn, meet new people. This will help to accelerate your life, okay? Contacts will help. The third can do with like online presence, so you can see some rise in popularity. So really promote yourself, personal life or business. If you're looking to date, you need to get on some apps. You need to go out on the town and hand out your card, or just be like, this is my number, blah, 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 you know? So really, yeah, put yourself out there. There we go. Express yourself. Invest in your home and inner world. Now, I think the screen is cutting it off here. Great job, Momo. But, okay, the North Node, I'm going to explain my logic because I'm not a fearmonger by any stretch of the imagination. Never was, never will be, and I put my life on that. I said to protect your information. So the third house is quite difficult for the moon to transit or to be in natally because it's a house of aggression. It rules courage, bravery. In ancient times, you'd see like a warrior or someone who joins the militia through this placement. Planets in the third, okay, Sun or maybe Mars, especially Mars, you know. But even moon, it makes a person like agitated and like quick on the draw. So it's the house of like expression. So it has a lot to do with skill. And I said, you know, internet. And the moon is a social planet. So it's like people. And the North Node is in this private place, which is the fourth house. It's quite private. You know, it's the lowest point of your chart. So it's something deep and hidden. And the North Node actually rules electronics. So it rules your laptop, your phone, your tablet, your PC, okay, your whatever, Bluetooth, all the information you have stored that goes from your phone to your car, to your work computer, to your home computer, your gym pass, anything that's electronic, anything that's chipped. Okay, if you have crypto, that's a big one. Okay, so when I see that that's in the fourth, I'm like, that's all right on its own. And when I see that's in the third, I think that's all right on its own. But when I looked at the big picture, I thought, you know what? You need to be mindful in the month of April that you don't give out really, really sensitive information. Okay, so I mean, if you meet someone and they want to talk to you, that's one thing, but I mean, really be very careful not to give out your personal information. There could be some cyber safety for Aquarius. You know, I will include Sun because it's the planet of career, Sun, Moon, and Rising, and maybe even for everyone in the month of April. You know, something like that could also be the case. But especially Aquarius ascendant, especially Aquarius Moon, be very, very mindful with your information. Okay, don't just give it away willy-nilly. Don't, for the month of April, you know, don't go into like a coffee shop and log on to the general internet there and then decide to do your banking. You know, if you really need the internet, go to your actual bank and like just do the banking like we did in the good old days. So that's just wanted to put that out there. It's the only one out of all the 12 that kind of caught my eye that I thought, I don't know why, but I spotted it and I felt like I should make a mention of that. So please don't be afraid for Aquarius. That's all I had to say. Pisces. Into the second. Okay, make money wishes. You know what I mean? You might feel rewarded by some of the efforts that you've made towards your earnings, okay? So this is a very empowering month for Pisces because also, you know, Jupiter is going through your ascendant, so sensational. Pisces moon as well, really happy-minded time, very, very lovely. So second from itself then, transiting moon here, new moon in Aries, can see you make enough money to just enjoy something, okay? Or your parents. So I said call your parents, say hi to them. Earnings through efforts can prevail because the North Node in the third does very, very well there. So anything like expression, using the voice, speaking, writing, being online, all of that can really help you now. Maybe taking a short trip, a road trip, purchasing something to do with transport, maybe like a bus fare, a car, a rental car, a van life, okay? You might move your family into a van. I see that on TikTok all the time. So online work and profit through the voice, whether you sing, speak, rap, hum, whistle or have a busting swear jar. You know, now is the month you can really profit from it. And I just think, you know, Pisces, it was so powerful to like open on Aries so strongly and then close on Pisces so strongly, is really, really good. Another thing I will say for Pisces is the full moon, you know, is going to hit your 8th. So if you're married around mid-April, so the full moon is going to be on the 16th in Libra. Be mindful, any money that you come into this month doesn't get misplaced, let's say, like by your spouse or like some kind of overestimation. Maybe you say, hey, I'm getting $10,000 on my tax return, and they're like, hey, I'm gonna buy a new car. I'm gonna buy a used car for like 5,000, but then they get like tripped up on some details and pay too much for it or something, just like as an example, because you know the full moon can cause losses, so things that leave our life. And if it's in the 8th, then you want to make sure that your spouse doesn't get scammed later in the month. But you yourself, you have extremely wonderful energy for the month. So I mean, you can even feel more bonded to your partner, meet someone that you solidify something with on an emotional level, make them feel like they're a part of your family, you know, and you could kind of feel at home in more places. You can have more investments into assets. Okay, the 2nd and the 8th are one of the financial axes, so it can profit you quite nicely, especially if you've worked hard for it, because that North Node is really making Pisces ascendants work this year. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening. There's the beautiful ram, the Lamb of God, the eternally powerful one. So thank you so much for listening. I wish you all a beautiful new moon in Aries. I personally love the sign. I love the fieriness. I love the ambition. So sometimes we need that spark to kind of like push us and wake us up and shake us up a little. So go ahead, listen to your ascendant, listen to your moon. Thank you once again for being here. I wish you all the best. And as always, I love you all. So bye-bye for now.